love, and salutations. Thank you so much for tuning into the Slow Wealth podcast that is Success Lives on Elevation. I am Kendra.
And Ramon.
And as we have with our previous shows, we always start off with a powerful motivational quote. And the quote is simple and it starts by saying, if it cost you your peace of mind, you overpaid.
That's a good one.
You know, a lot of people broke.
Short and sweet. Short and sweet. Well, today we have one of my great friends, author now, Jenifer Fennell, out of Kansas City.
Hey,
K-Sweet. Dot.
You gotta put the best-selling author in there.
She is the author of Keep Living, which is a journal for healing through grief. And this book, I'm sure, has helped hundreds of people. It's helped people that I know personally. It's a great pathway through grief, writing down what it is that, harnesses that grief. Sometimes people can't get it out, but Jenifer has created an outlet for people to get their grief out.
Yes.
And as you know, when you put things in words, it becomes power.
Yes.
Congratulations, first.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, man.
I know.
I was like, wow.
Because we was on the road and I'm looking and I'm like, Jenifer got a book.
Yes. It's been a road. I tell you that.
I'm sure.
Hold on. I got a question real quick. So when you published your book and you saw it out there and it said bestseller, like what was you thinking?
I was shocked. Like my mouth was stuck because I didn't think people would buy it. I didn't think it would, because it was just an idea and it was just something that I wanted to do for myself, right? And so when I became on the best new sellers list, I'm like, what? Wait a minute. How is this possible? So I was in shock. I'm grateful. I'm 100% grateful, but I was definitely in shock because I did not know how people were going to react to the journal.
That's dope. I was like, dang, she got
we talked about that the whole car ride.
Oh, man.
What was that, like 9 hours?
Something like that. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 9 hours. And I was like, man, Jenifer, you don't know how ecstatic I was.
That's how dope, friend.
That's amazing. Just to know people and have people in, you know what I mean, in your circle. And, when we lived out in Seattle, you was the only one that really came out to visit us at first. You've been rocking with us for a while. And,
I love y'all so much.
So we are definitely proud of you and your success.
Thank you.
For real.
Thank you.
So, all right, let's get it started then. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you, your name, and then, just something that people don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, my name is Jenifer Fennell, born and raised in Kansas City, Kansas. Like Kendra said, the dot.
Right. They can't see Kansas, can't see Missouri. So, yeah, there's a difference.
I know there's a difference.
Yes,
there's a difference,
absolutely.
But I have love for both sides, though. I don't have anything against Missouri at all.
Okay.
But pretty much just a little bit about me and my story is that I was raised in a single parent household. Just my brother and myself. So my brother and I, we were 10 years apart. So I was older. So I was the older sister. So I feel like the mom, of my brothers. So that's pretty much about our relationship. We were close. That was one of my best friends, or he was one of my best friends. And when his death happened, it shook my world, it just shook it. So I know you guys are going to ask a little bit more about that, but that's pretty much about me. During the day, I'm a project manager for a pediatric office, and then I work on the journal and just try to push it out there to people. So that's pretty much what I do.
Man. Okay, all right. I like that. Yeah. So, well, I guess you kind of already kind of went into it a little bit, but basically kind of give us a more in-depth about like what motivated you to write the book.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, my brother passed away at 25 in 2017, so it's about 4 years now. And the first a couple of years, I just couldn't get out of my funk. I just couldn't get out of it. I stopped going to church. I stopped believing, believe it or not, because I'm like, how could somebody take something so precious away from me? And so I knew that I couldn't get stuck long. I remember my dad, he came over and he said, you can feel whatever you want to feel, but don't stay in there too long. And so I was like, okay. So I went to Barnes and Nobles, I went on Amazon, and I feel like I needed my words to get out. And I didn't want to talk to anybody about it because they probably are tired of me talking about it, which I know my true friends and my true family, they weren't. But to me in my head, that's what I thought, right? Like I can't call them and say, oh, today's a bad day, because I don't want to ruin anybody else's day, right? So I got a journal and I did search for grief journals, right? I really searched for them, but a lot of them wasn't hitting me. It wasn't hitting to my soul that I needed. So I just got a regular old notepad and just started journaling. And so with that, it allowed me to get my words out. It allowed me to be angry. It allowed me to be
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, y'all.
That's okay. It happens. But with journaling, it allowed me to get my words out without judgment. It was like my judgment-free zone, right? So I was angry. You could tell in my journals when I was angry, when I was hurt. Some days, the only thing that I wrote down was the date, and you can see how I probably was crying that day because all of the paper was kind of wilted like a water stain, and that's all I had. So one day I just started writing these quotes down, and I started putting them all over my bathroom mirror, just as motivational quotes. And I was like, what if I create a journal to help others like journaling helped me? And that's pretty much how the idea happened.
That's dope. It's crazy because I did when we went on Amazon and seen your book, and I would read some of the comments and I would see what some of the people would put, how it's helping me. And a lot of people who have lost a lot of people, especially probably this year, with COVID.
I know with COVID, yeah.
So yeah, I think you probably put it at the right time.
That's what I've been told about a lot of people. Right. And and to me, it wasn't one of those things of the reason why I created the journal was to, let me put it out there so people can buy it. I had this idea prior to COVID. So this idea came to me in 2019. But I just didn't know where to start. Right. I didn't know where to start. So when COVID hit, it allowed me to research a little bit more. It allowed me to get my thoughts together because the world stopped, right? So I had the opportunity to really work on it. And so so it was never about COVID hit, a lot of people are losing their loved ones, so let me put this journal out. This idea came in 2019 to me, and COVID, because the world stopped, it allowed me to work on it a little bit harder.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people got a lot of stuff down. I know I did.
You just need that time, that autonomy to do what you want or what you've been thinking about, or your goals. So that definitely gave you the time that you needed to something that was heavy on your heart.
Yeah.
Man.
What suggestions do you have for people like that are going through grief? Do you advise everyone, well, I don't want to say everyone, but most people to write down that grief or that anger or that hurt that they have? Like you were saying, you kind of just gave up on, you know, your spirituality. Like, you know, would you recommend journaling for?
Yeah, I would. And outside of grief, journaling for me helps me in a lot of ways. It helps me decompress my day at the end of the day. It helps me to get ideas out. Before even I thought about a grief journal, but when people are going through grief, I just feel like it's just an outlet. Because sometimes we do feel alone. Even though I knew that I wasn't the only person who lost a brother, I knew that I wasn't the only person who lost a loved one. But at that time, I felt it was just me and me alone. So when I was able to write down my thoughts and my words, it felt like I was talking to someone because I was talking to God. You know, I was like, look, I don't know why you did this. I don't know what happened, but this is the way that I'm feeling today. And it really allowed me to get my feelings out and get my thoughts out without feeling judged. And so I really do feel like when you're going through grieving, journaling, it just allows you to release so much.
Do you think it was like really? Go ahead, Kendra.
I said, like she said, without the judgment. You know.
Do you think it was real therapeutic? Because you know when it comes to therapy, you know, Black folks a lot of times we like. You know, do you think it was real therapeutic? You right now, like, do you suggest people do that? You know, if they are uncomfortable, you know, talking to a therapist.
Yeah, see, and I guess I'm a rare breed because I did go to therapy. Okay. I had a therapist. So this is before I started journaling. So I had a therapist that I went one-on-one with, and then I went to a group therapy session where people who were going through grief, we were able to kind of talk it out, or if we just needed a hug from somebody, or if we needed just to get it out, then so I was one of those people that went to therapy. But if I want to piggyback off of that, my mom, on the other hand, no, and she lost her child, right? So when I created this journal and I gave it to her, she was writing. You know, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, because my mom, she's so quiet. She doesn't really chat. She doesn't talk about her feelings or anything like that. But when I was like, Mom, look, I did this journal in honor of T, and I gave her a copy, of course. And one day I called her and she was journaling in the journal. I don't know what she wrote down. I don't care. But as long as she utilizes. So yes, I do feel like journaling is a form of therapy.
Seeing her doing that, did that kind of make you feel like, you know, your job was done?
My job was done. I didn't care who purchased the journal at that point, you know, because I'm like, if I can reach one person, and especially my mom, hey, that my work was done. Right. It was done. It was complete.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was in tears. I was in tears when I kind of, she doesn't know, but I went in my room and I was like, I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
That's dope.
That is dope.
Yeah.
So as far as the book, like, what was one of the most surprising things you learned about writing the book, other than your mom?
Okay. Well, the whole process of how easy it is. Geez, I didn't know how easy it was to create a book or write or publish anything. Of course, I went self-published. So I don't have an agent. I don't have anybody like that. So anytime someone purchased a book, it's because one, word of mouth, or two, I had mentioned it somewhere. So I don't have an agent or publisher backing me up or anything like that. It's just basically, self-published, and it is so easy. So I encourage anyone, if you have an idea, and it doesn't have to be a big book. It just has to be something. If you have an idea that you want to get out there of how easy it is, I would say do it, because it's worth it. It's worth it.
Did you learn anything about yourself writing this book that you didn't realize?
Yeah, I realized a lot with writing this. Because I wouldn't say that I'm creative.
Yes, you are.
No, not like.
We'll get back to that later. Okay.
Okay, not like artistic. Like, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not anything like that. On that standpoint. But I created the I can't think of the word I'm trying to say. I created this.
The cover.
The cover, yes. Yeah. I'm like, I know it's not the title. I know it's not the title.
You know what? It's nice because like sometimes less is more. You know what I'm saying? So it's simple and it's like it catch you and it's like you say so much just saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So so when of course I had a bunch of tools to help me, but when I created this, I said that's it. I like it. I mean, it's simple, right? It's just simple. Right. And a lot of the journals that I had looked at prior, you know, especially the grief journals, it was like somebody on there. It was too much. And I'm like, I don't want all that. I just want something, you know, plain. And so that's why I decided to create this, like something plain. You see my name, but a lot of people are like, oh, so where's your picture? And I'm like, no, because it's not about me, right? This journal isn't about me. It's about the person who purchased it or the person who was gifted that. And I did not want my picture to be a part of this.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, sure. Right, okay, so you kind of answered this question, I think, a little bit.
Okay.
But you know, I think one thing for some people who probably thought about writing a book, right? They like, well, you know, I could write about something or this subject, but a lot of people out there wrote about it, you know. So like, what do you think really made your story good enough for you, like you said, to really, you know, decide like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna put this in the book because I think there may be other people out there that's going through what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people, I just feel that the people who purchased my journal either knew me personally or someone knows me that actually gave it to someone or gifted it to someone. And I feel that because some people know my story and what happened, I just feel that they probably were like, oh gosh, I personally know this person. So I know that whatever she says in here is true, because you always have to be true to yourself. And you also have to be true to your audience. And when I had my coach, so I did have a coach to tell me the steps to go through to publish, to do self-publishing. And I said, what if nobody buys it? And so she was like, they're going to buy it because of you. You know, because your name is attached to it. And every book that is out there is not for you either, but somebody is going to relate to your story, and they're going to say, I have to purchase that because I need to hear someone else's story that they personally know.
Oh, okay.
What's the feedback from your readers?
Well, I do know a couple of them. A few of them were saying that one, as Ramon had mentioned it, COVID-19. You brought it out at a perfect time. Or two, a lot of people are saying this is a journal that they didn't know that they needed. And that was a big one for me. When you purchase this journal or were gifted this journal, and people open it up, it's like, dang, I didn't know that I needed this. And that right there is a blessing to me, because sometimes we don't know things that we need until it's actually given to us. And then we're like, dang, I needed that. You know? And so that's one of the major feedbacks. And if I could just help someone, people don't have to journal, even if you don't journal in it every single day. But when you're having a bad moment or a happy moment or a guilty moment, if you pull this journal out and just write in it, that's the goal. That's great.
Yeah, you just write what you're feeling.
Just write what you're feeling.
One of the passages in here I love, because I went through each one and I was like, all of them are great. This one I like, it's not about getting over it. It's about learning to live with your new normal, finding comfort in the constant pain of loss. Because I think what happens is, if we have this conversation, is when people haven't experienced, loss like that, they don't know how to communicate with you. They're just kind of like, okay, I'm here if you need me, know what you need, or eventually some people get so cruel as to say, it's time to get over it.
It's time to get over it.
Like,
yes.
You never get over that.
But you know what? I'm gonna be the devil's advocate, right?
Okay.
Because I think when people say that, it probably comes out worse than the sound, than it's supposed to, I guess, because I think it's one of those things where everybody has at some point experienced a loss, right? Some may, seem bigger than others, but it's more that thing where, I think life still has to go on. You know what I mean? But I do get it. When you going through that, it can seem really insensitive when somebody tell you, "Hey, you need to get over it." But I think that's the best thing. But it is like something I always tell Kendra. Sometimes it's not. It's how you say something to somebody that can jumpstart them to doing what they need to be doing.
Yeah, and you're right, and that's why I decided to name the journal "Keep Living," because that's what you have to do. Even though I felt that at that time when his passing first happened, I'm like, no, my life is over. I can't do anything else. I need to figure out. And I hate to say, I'm not gonna say I hate to say this because my story can help someone else's story, but being a big sister, I felt that I was supposed to protect him, and I'm like, how can he do death alone? To be honest, I did think that. I was like, how can he do death alone without me? And I actually, had thought about it. Had thought about when he first passed, like he can't be alone, and I wanted to take my life, to be honest. And it was nothing that I was that I did wrong in my life. It was just more like I don't want him to be alone. And oh gosh, I didn't know I was gonna start crying.
Don't cry. You know what I'm saying? The grieving part don't ever stop.
Yeah,
it doesn't. But if it wasn't for my mom, I would, things could be totally different because I was in that dark space. I was definitely in a dark space. But but that's what made me do the journal and naming it "Keep Living," because I'm like, you got to keep living. You got to keep living for your loved one, especially if that person meant a lot to you. You have to keep living for them, because I had to think about in my head, if something happened to me or the roles were reversed, I would not want my brother to stop living. Like, boy, you better go out and have fun, enjoy life while you have it. And I knew that that's what he wanted for me as well. So that's why, I had to continue on. And every day I lived for him, to make sure people knew his name or know his name. And so that's why, the journal became real.
What was his name?
His name was Terrence.
Terrence, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see his picture.
Picture. Yeah, this is him. He thought he was bad in this picture, GQ. He thought he was a little cute.
He got that look like right now, like he
was so quiet. He was quiet. He just stand next to Jennifer and look to her like, hey, sis, like, what's up? What I'm gonna do? That relationship was just everything between Jennifer and her brother, especially when he got of age. He graduated and he was able to hang out.
Yeah, when he started hanging out, I was like, I cannot believe he hanging out with me.
Yeah, he always want to be around his sister.
Yeah.
All right, well let's change the subject a little bit.
Okay, cool.
You know what? Actually, Ramon asked me to bring something up that I brought up to him the minute I saw that you published a book.
Okay.
Remember that class we had together in college?
Kendra said no. Kendra said no, but I'm like,
I said no at first.
I think it's important for us to get this out there.
Yeah.
Remember
that writing class in college.
You have people in life that'll tell you things that'll stick with you, and you don't realize it stuck with you. So, she told me a story about something that one of your professors said to you some years back.
Okay, so we had wrote a paper, me, you, Jenkins, Shamil, all in the class, and we had to, change papers with a partner. And remember, she graded your paper. You don't remember what she said?
No.
Me and Shantae was writing some crazy stuff to her after that. But she said that you really needed. She didn't like the paper that you wrote.
Okay.
You and Shamil had wrote. I'm surprised you don't remember this.
I don't remember, girl. You know, girl.
I remember that because that stuck with me. I was like, oh, I was calling her all kind of names, and oh man, in my head, I'm like, man, you don't say stuff like that to people. Well, anyway,
you said she said something basically like she couldn't write or she didn't know how to write good or something.
Yeah, and here you are,
a best-selling author,
writer.
Bam.
That's the first. I'm surprised.
I don't remember that story.
You don't?
No.
That is
what
so that, you know, and that's crazy how it affected me more than it affected you.
I was probably like, whatever.
I think you were. You and Shamil. Y'all was both like, whatever. Okay.
Whatever.
We gonna pass this class. I mean, we all passed the class.
We did, but I probably was like, okay, whatever, teacher, deuces, you know.
Hey, but you know what? I thought it'd be kind of cool. I'm like, man, I would send her a copy of my book.
I don't even remember the teacher or the professor.
I bet you can do.
That lady, I remember she had short hair. She was a thicker white lady. She was one of our like English. It wasn't English, but I can't remember the exact name of the class.
No, see, I only remember our professors for real, barely from our second part. Once we got to our major courses, like Shamil wasn't in there. It was just you and I, and that's the only professors that I remember. Were our second half.
You know what? I'm gonna bring. I'm gonna go through my old class schedule.
Okay, yeah.
And you don't remember.
Okay, refresh my memory. Okay, because I don't remember.
For real, like I was writing some crazy stuff after that.
Really?
You know how I am. I was writing.
I know how you are.
Stuff after that. I was like, man, you don't say nothing like that to somebody. You know, you're trying to teach us.
But you know what? Even though, like she said, like I think people. Sometimes that feel people like, you know, when people tell them, hey, you know, you stupid, you ain't gonna never be nothing, or you ain't gonna do this, you ain't gonna do that. And you know, later on in life, you do accomplish those things. So when she told me, I was like, that's crazy that a teacher would say that to somebody, you know. And here it is, she's on Amazon bestseller list. I'm like, man, that ain't nothing but just, you know, quieting your haters right there, you know.
Hey, you know, because, you know, there's a lot of things that I remember in life, but I really try not to remember, like, for me personally, like the negative things. So I just try, I mean, I don't remember. I really don't remember, but I probably was like, girl, whatever. Okay, just pass me.
You and Shamil, y'all was both like, and I'm sitting there and Shantae looking and we like, what? Why did she say that? You know, why would she say that? Like when we was all in the class together. So
I remember we were in classes.
This is at the beginning of our.
Hey, Jennifer, remember she hired and talked to her. She like,
well, yeah, she was like, yeah, B. Look,
now
right? Because I sure was. That's why I sent you that text message. I was like, I don't want to bring it up now because but
I think it's good for people to know that.
I mean, and then it's also good. Like, don't take anything that people say to you to heart as well, because you know that happened. You remember Kendra, you know, but that happened 10+ years ago,
right?
You know,
I remember that.
And I didn't even. I mean, I literally probably was upset about it at that moment, and then after that, I'm like, just pass me, whatever. Just you know,
that's how you are. You like just a bowl of sunshine. You're always happy, and you know you got good, kind words for people, and then you see that smile with them dimples, and it just lights up your world. You know, I love that.
Oh, friend, thank you.
Well, hey, Miss Best-selling author.
Right.
That's what we're gonna put before your name now. You know.
Okay. I'll take it.
What kind of advice can you give people on like the steps to write a book? If somebody say, you know, I might want to write a book, like what steps would they go through to do that?
The first thing that I would say is do it. You know, that's step number one. Just get out there and do it. Start writing and start getting your thoughts together. Do it. And then the next thing is just compiling it all together. Have someone, of course, proofread it. You know, make sure that it sounds right. And because sometimes what we write what we think is right, but then it may not be, may not sound right to others. But just do it. Just put it together, compile it, and put it out there. I mean, it's so easy, because the process that I went through, I did have a coach. She has her own publishing company, a Black-owned publishing company. And actually I met her through her and I went to K-State together. And one of my good friends, Kelly, I told her, I want to do this journal, but I just don't know where to start. She was like, girl, Cindy writes books, and she has her own publishing company, and it's called Launch Crate. And so she has like these coaching sessions that she does with people who want to create books. And the process is easy. She was just there to kind of hold my hand and just to make sure that I went through the steps that were needed. Because once you publish it, or once you put it all together, you just publish it to, I did this company called Ingram Spark. You load it on there, they approve it, and bam, that's it. They push it out to Amazon. They push it out to Barnes and Nobles. They push it out to any online booksellers that are out there. Because I didn't know I was on Barnes and Noble, because I was like, Barnes and Noble, and I was like, and I Googled I was like, let me just keep living in there, and my journal came up, because I mean, they push it out there for you. And so, and that's pretty much it. You put a publishing date on there, and then that's when you publish, and that's when it becomes available. So it's really easy. I mean, I used a lot of the tools that we use every day to create my journal. I went to Canva to create, and that's how I created all of my my stuff. Is through that, and then I compiled it together, uploaded to Ingram Spark, paid Ingram Spark $50.
Wow.
To publish it?
Man.
To publish your book?
Yeah.
That was the next question. Is it expensive to write a book?
So how much did it cost you? Like, say, like everything, like how much do you think you pay, like, to do your cover, to get it proofread or edited, formatted, publishing? Like, how much you think approximately we did that?
Everything regarding all of the stuff, I probably came out of pocket with paying maybe $400.
Oh wow.
Maybe even that, to be honest, because the most that I paid for was my coaching sessions, and the coaching sessions lasted for 6 months. So she basically, in the beginning, she just went through everything. Like, as a creator, she said, okay, I'm giving you a color wheel. What color are you drawn to? And that's how I came up with blue. I said, "Ooh, blue looks nice. Blue is cool. It's calm, it's settling." And so she was like, "Okay." And then we went on. She was like, "What kind of shade of blue?" And I was like, "I don't know." So then I just went through these type of. I mean, I know this is like more of a teal color, but teal is in the blue family, But yeah, and so that's what she did. And so she was like, "Okay." Then we went. The next session was, "What are your ideas? Why do you want to create this?" Just try to get everything together and try to get my creative juices flowing, And then I just worked on it. And one day I said, my next training session, I said, "What do you think about this cover?" I'm like, "What do you think about this?" She was like, "Oh my gosh." All she did was move it over to the left a little bit, bring living up just a little bit more, bold your name a little bit more. And then she said back, she was like, "You got it. That's it." Yeah, I mean, for real, that's really all she did. She was like, "Move this over a little bit, bring this up some more," and that was it. And then once I had the cover, then of course she gave me the information to like the formats to create this page, this information page, and things like that. Because of course I didn't know what to put there, like all your all rights reserved page. If there's an actual word for it, but I don't know. And and that's all she did. She just guided me through. Like, I created everything, but she just literally guided me through what I needed to do. So once we were fine, because she actually proofread it, and then once we were actually both agreeance to it. She said, okay, let's go to Ingram Sparks and load it on. And cost was $50, and that's it. So pretty much what it is, the reason why it didn't cost me that much is because it's on demand service. So whenever you purchase the journal on Amazon, that's when Ingram Spark will print it off. So I did not have to, I did not have to purchase a bunch of books and try to market it myself, because at that point I didn't know how. I didn't know how to, create a website or how to sponsor myself or do anything like that. And so she was like, well, the best way to do right now is just do on demand. Just do on demand, have people purchase it. And then once you get the income from that, then that's when you can start creating more things like the website, start going to different events and having books on hand and things like that.
Okay, that makes total sense. How do you receive payments from your book sales?
So pretty much you set the price to it. So I was the one that created the price. And then from there you plug in the information on Ingram Spark, and Ingram Spark would tell you, okay, so after publishing the book, after us printing the book, this is how much you would get per book. And so that would be depending on how much you set it for. So I got, I think, $10.95 per book.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So that's how much, so that's pretty much how it is. So all you are really doing is for them to place it on Amazon and for them to print the book out. But then of course, if I purchase the book, if I go into Ingram Spark and purchase the book myself, of course it's, I get it wholesale prices, so it's a lot cheaper.
Okay. And if you feel comfortable, can you share with our audience what it is that you do with your book sales?
Oh yeah, so the whole purpose of the journal is that I didn't really want to make a profit on it. I don't want to get rich from this journal or anything like that. I just want to help the next person with the journal. So all proceeds from the journal is going to a foundation that I created on behalf of my brother. And it's called the Terrence A. Fennell Foundation. And so what that is that growing up, my brother loved the sport of baseball. Oh my gosh, that's all he did since, I believe he started at 4 all the way to high school. He played baseball. And like I mentioned before, we grew up in a single parent household. So I felt that was his out. He's like, yes, I can go play baseball. He loved his coaches. He loved everything about the sport, and he was actually good about it. At it. So his first 2 years, he played for this team, inner city school. You just come with your shorts, and we give you a t-shirt when you arrive, not too much equipment and things like that. But we started to see that my brother was good. So he went to, we lived around the corner from this park where it's the baseball field. And he went up there just to throw balls, him and his friend. He saw a coach that he knew that played for a different team, and he came home, was like, mama, oh my gosh, you gotta sign this paper today, for me to play this season on this new team, but you have to get $25. And my mom was like, I don't have it, right? So of course we had to ask, a family member, which, I love my family. We didn't go out without anything. So they were able to do that for my brother. And so that's what I wanted to give back to the community, is that if someone who wants to play the sport the parents can't afford it, then that registration fee will come out of the proceeds from the journal. So $25 for the coming out of the Terrence A. Fennell Foundation can go towards someone's registration fee. Or if someone wants to play, they can afford the $25, but I can't afford the jersey cost, or I can't afford the uniforms, then that's where we will step in, and we will be able to help that person with those funds. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
That's dope.
Do they have to submit like an application or something?
Well, so right now, I reached out to the inner city organization here called RDI. And so what they will do is they will be able to honor the scholarship. So they will know the kids that need help, that wants to play. And the parents can say, well, my kid, I do want him to play or her to play, but we just can't afford it. Oh, okay. Well, let me reach out to the Terrence A. Fennell Foundation and they'll be able to do it, because it's not really a scholarship. It's just the funds that are there just in case parents won't be able to pay for their kids to play the sport. Hopefully the goal is one day to create a scholarship fund to where kids who've been playing the sport for a while go to college and they will be able to get like on a book scholarship, or we can pay for them to go to a camp. But that's a little bit later on down the road. We got to get some things started up first, but that's the ultimate goal really, is to pay for someone to go to camp or for a book scholarship for someone for college.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
People go if you just want to, if they just want to donate. In addition to purchasing the books, where can they?
Well, right now, I do have a website. It's Jenifer R. Fennell, and that's my name. Jennifer R. is my middle initial, Fennell. You'll be able to just get more information about the journal, but right now we're just in the beginning stages of the Terrence A. Fennell Foundation. We are a 501c3, so we are registered with the state of Kansas. We are registered with the IRS as a 501c3, but right now, I don't have a personal website just yet, but that's coming. I have someone working on that where they can donate through the website.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely keep us on that so we can put that out there, man.
Of course.
I always try to get back. You get back.
Absolutely. Especially that, because people don't realize, the inner city youth, a lot of times they try to find outlets because they have so much energy and they're dealing with so many things. Like you said, you're dealing with a single parent. And sometimes, your parent doesn't want you to take on their burdens. But when you see your mom or your dad struggling to make ends meet, put food on the table, go to work and make sure you and your siblings, have everything that y'all want and need. It's hard, that can be hard for a child, and they just buy, all this stuff up, and they don't know how to express that. So through a lot of times through sports and other extracurricular activities, that allows a child to get their energy out. What have you. And that's why we have some of the best athletes. A lot of them, that's all they had. All they had was basketball, football, and baseball. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, we were just excited because my brother was just to himself. He wasn't. He had friends, but he wasn't like, I'm a social. I took on the social skills, but my brother didn't. But that was his, like, oh my gosh, when he used to see the players, like even at the grocery store, he was like, oh, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm going to the park to practice at blah 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 time. Okay, we meet you there, and they go. It was just an outlet. But that's one thing I do appreciate about my mom, was that we never saw her struggling unless we actually went to her for something and she's like, I don't have it. But like I mentioned, we have a good support system with my aunts and uncles and my older cousins to where we really didn't have to want for anything.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful that you have a supportive family that, that's right there for you through everything.
Yeah.
For everybody, I'm sure.
Yeah, because because my brother's death was the hardest thing that I've have ever experienced in my life. Even though I thought a car breaking down in the past was hard or college was hard, but no, those are normal life stuff. But when someone passes away that's so close to you, that was the hardest thing, because for me, I didn't have time to grieve because I allowed my mom to do all of that. And I stepped up as the person who took care of everything. Okay, we need to get this, we need to get that, we need to make sure he looks nice, we need to get his burial paid for, and if it wasn't for my family that helped us through that, my family was my rock, and so if they're watching, I appreciate y'all.
There you go. Well, you know what? and I mean, it's great that you got the 501(c), right? That's nonprofit, right?
Not for profit.
So if you were donating the proceeds, and let's just say, you was keeping the book sales, or even either or, I should say, would you say having those royalties or whatever from your book could be another stream of income?
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely could be another stream of income, because I didn't know by selling the amount of books that I sold of how much money I got from those. So that allowed me to do the things that I needed to do, where I did not have to come out of pocket to create the 501(c)(3, to create the logo, to create all of that different stuff. So yeah, so if you are the one that wanting to actually make profit and have another stream of income for your book that you publish, yeah, you just got to push it out there and make sure you have the marketing tools to do all of that, and it can actually be another form of income. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There we go. Hey, Kendra,
what do you think makes a good story?
Okay, so I am all about, I'm not really a fiction person. I love nonfiction, because I like to hear other people's story. And I just say, if you just want to, if what makes a good nonfiction story is you have to be authentic to yourself. You have to have, if you have a story to tell, especially your own personal story, and if you want to tell your story, you have to be very transparent. You can't give pieces of this and pieces of that here and there. You actually have to be very transparent and just be authentic to you and be authentic to your readers. Because if you feel that your story isn't going to be heard, it is actually going to be heard, because you don't know who may need it. We have over 1 billion people in this world, and maybe 10 million people love your story, and that's all it takes. Or if it takes is 100,000, that's pretty much what it takes. And hey, just be you. You can't be nobody else but you.
Amen. That's all you can be, is the best you.
That's all you can
can't be nothing else.
So I got 2 questions.
Okay, what's up?
It's gonna be a 2-part question, right? So the first question is gonna be, has it really set in seeing your book out there published, and the time and the work that you put into it, to see it, like when you see it on the internet, or if you see somebody that had to set in, like, wow, that I did that, I created that.
It's just crazy, because I don't like to talk about myself. It's just like, yeah, when it's somebody, okay, so let me tell you a story real quick. So my aunt's birthday was last week. We went over to her house, and they gifted her things. And I did not know that my aunt didn't know that I published something, because I don't talk about it. I talk about it, but when it's family, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I did this, I created a journal. It's just our time. So my cousin gifted her the journal, and she opened her present, and she dropped the book. She dropped it. And I was like, oh, that's my journal. And so she was like, what? My aunt has a loud voice. She was like, what? Does that say Jennifer Fennell? And I was like, yeah. She was just like, she just started crying. And she was just, and so I started crying, and she was, oh, like I'm about to do now. Okay. But she was just like, I mean, all she did was this. All she did was like, oh my gosh. She was just like, yes. And so she looked at it, and she said, this is where she hates Facebook. Okay. She said, this is where people can get off of that Facebook and they can write their thoughts on here instead of Facebook. I was like, you're right. And she was like, oh my gosh. So you created this because you felt the need, because you didn't have it when you went through it. And I was like, yes. And so she said, she was like, job well done, niece, job well done. And right there, I was like, oh my gosh, like, and that just happened past Thursday, because it's weird, because I don't talk about it much unless someone brings it up, and I know that I need to get better with it, But that's what makes this journal successful, is that, you know, people that I love told someone, and those people told another person, and that person told another person. And, you know, it was just amazing, because when I actually posted my first post on Facebook, I had that post ready for like 6 hours. I was just like,
come on now.
I know, right? I did, because I was so nervous, because I did not know. And I know you're not supposed to care what other people think about you, but when it's something that you work so hard on, you want people to like it. You don't want to hear any negative about it, because you work, because this is my baby. And so you don't want nobody to downplay it, or nobody to say, that's not good. You know, I can't believe you charging that much. And, you know, I didn't want to hear it. But when I hit post, I immediately shut my phone down, went to the restroom at work. I was at work, and I was just like, we'll see, right? So maybe an hour later, got back in, and I had like over 100 notifications, people messaging me saying, oh my gosh, I needed this. I mean, within an hour, like, oh my gosh, Jen, this is amazing. I mean, just constantly. And I just sat at my desk and just started crying, because I didn't know how people were gonna react or be receptive towards this journal. And when they were, I was just blown away from it. And I just sat in my car and just started crying, because I'm like, I hate that I had to do it, for the reason, because I wish my brother was here. But two, I was thankful that I was able to have the creative mind to create this, because I prayed about it. I said, God, if this, you know, if this idea that I have, if it's not going to go anywhere, if you feel that it's not good, you know, nothing will fall in place, right? But then everything fell in place. I told my friend Kelly what I want to do. She said, oh, reach out to Cindy. Message Cindy. She said, oh my gosh, yes, that's a great idea. Then paid her, and we just went, everything just rolled so smoothly. And I said, I hear you. I hear you.
Amen.
I hear you.
He speak, you better listen. That speaks volumes.
Yeah. So
that's no. I can see. Yeah, I can see that it's touching you. Yeah. Kendra too. Yeah, I see a little tears.
I'm trying to be cool. I really am, because I see it in their eyes. I'm like, okay, I don't want to see.
But you know what? When you got something that you work so hard on and you're passionate about it, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like you said, you don't want to hear no negative. Like anybody, man, why you like? Nope.
I know, because it's crazy, because, you know, normally, because I know some people, if they have an idea, they don't say anything to people, you know, because it may fall through. But me, I'm such the opposite. I'm like, I have this idea. What do you think about it? Right? And people be like, why you want to do that? You know, but this idea here, I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell anyone, but of course my friend Kelly, who only reason why I told her was because, you know, she checked in on me all the time, and I was like, I just got this idea. She was like, oh, that's good. Then go to Cindy. She was number 2, and then I told my boyfriend. He would only 3 people knew that I was working on this journal. Only 3 people, and when it finally came out, people were like, you didn't tell me you were doing that. And I'm like, because I didn't want to say anything, because I don't know if it was going to go through or not, you know, and it did. So I'm 100% grateful. 100%.
Hey, I agree with you. I don't like telling people stuff either, because for that reason, you know, you don't want any negativity, but, you know, like they say, you know, if you, the quickest way to kill a big dream is to tell the small-minded people.
Oh,
I mean, that's the big thing, right? You know what I'm saying? And if you tell it to the right person who will kill it, you know, you sitting there, you know, trying to figure out, like, damn, what would have happened if I did it?
Yeah, and that's how it is now. Like, with my brother passing, I don't want the what ifs, right? Like, what if I would have done this, or what if I would have done that? Or, you know, now I'm like, if I have an idea, I'm rolling with it.
Yeah.
And if it don't work, oh well, you know, because you know, I can say, well, I tried it and it didn't work, so on to the next one. Because my thing is like, what if it works, you know, and what if people love it, and you know, and that's how I was with this. It's like, what if people like it? Cool. What if nobody doesn't? Okay, I just lost $400. Okay, whatever, you know, and it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing road to be on.
All right, so question number 2.
All right.
Are you going to write another book now?
Haha, drum roll, please. No. Actually, I am. I'm going to there's some ideas that I have. One is that I would love to write a children's book on grief, because I feel like the little ones get left out a lot on grief. And what made me decide that was that T was close to everybody in my family, but those little ones, they actually took it hard. And first she's like, are you crying just because I'm crying, or are you really hurt? And they are, because now to this day, every time, you know, I see them, they're like, oh, you know, I thought about T the other day, and they're like 8. And so that means that they were 4 when T passed away. And, you know, or they was like, do you miss T? Like, I miss T, you know, and people don't realize the little ones actually do have feelings as well. And so I would love to write a children's book on grief. And then also, I do want to write an actual book. Like, you know, this is just a journal. So this is just for other people to, you know, to write their thoughts on, you know, so it's a bunch of empty pages in here. But I do want to write an actual book about grief. Full pages about grief and about my full story on it and what helped me through the 6 stages of grief. And that's what I want to do.
What are the 6 stages?
Oh, don't get tied on everything. Wait, can't get out.
Oh.
Hey, she about to blow it all up for you.
I am. Oh my God.
Hey, look, you better go copyright that right now.
Yeah, you better. No, TM.
He said TM.
That is so funny. I was like,
you know me, I could be a dingbat sometimes.
No, you're fine. No, but I can give you the.
No, don't. You know, keep that. Keep that.
Yeah, keep
I mean, that's not a problem, because people can just, you know, Google, you know, the 6 stages of grief. But I just wanted, the whole book of it is that I want to basically tell my story and to get my scenario out there about the 6 stages, and that's pretty much what I want, why I want to create a book, because you know, people want to hear it from, not saying that authors are not, or therapists are not real people, but you know, but I don't have any training. So I don't have any training of coaching or therapy or anything like that. So I'm wanting to tell my story of what a normal everyday person, of what they went through. So I mean, I can tell it if you want. I mean, because you can just Google. So it's really
not. We'll wait till you bring it out. No?
Right? Yeah, we'll wait.
Well, okay.
But thank you.
You know what? This has been a good interview, because she about to blow up your whole spot, Jennifer.
I was. Oh man. I sure was.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we got one last question for you, Jennifer.
Okay.
And this week we ask everybody this at the end. And the question is, what does wealth mean to you? And how can writing and publishing a book, you think, equate to that?
Well, you know, a lot of people, and this is just my personal thing, a lot of people will say wealth means money, you know, and for most people, yeah, you know, wealth does. But for me, wealth means more of on a personal level. Like, I want to be wealthy in family. I want to be wealthy in friends. I want to be wealthy in love, you know, and that's what my meaning of wealth is. So with the book, with wealth for me is to put this journal out and get, I guess funds for the, the foundation. So wealth to me is seeing all of these kids. I'm like, oh, I help that student. The student is great now because, the Terrence A. Fennell Foundation contribute to that,
Right.
and that's my meaning of wealth regarding this journal, is that wealth is just to see someone out there learning how to heal, starting to heal, or recognizing that they are hurting. And that's what the wealth means to me in this scenario.
So wealth for you is being a vessel to lighten up someone else's life.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's true.
That's
amazing.
Wealth is in people.
Yeah.
So she ain't out here chasing money, because wealth is not just about the money. And people who don't chase money usually get it. Always get it.
And people who chase money and run away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I do want to say, I know this is towards the end, but I do want to say one thing. And, just because I like to be transparent. And one of my friends, I went to her house one day. This was a couple of months ago. And her mom is a prayer warrior. Okay. She's prays. Okay. And I walked in, I was at the door because, it's COVID and she's older. And I was like, I'm just dropping this formula off, that's it. And so she calls me Dimple. She was like, Dimples, oh my God. And so she said, I'm about to get my oil. And I was like, okay. And she just started praying so hard. And it was just like to the point where she said, your journal. And I haven't even mentioned the journal. And she was like, your journal is going to touch so many people to the point where you're not even going to have time to stop to even think for yourself, And so I'm just so grateful. And I just want to say thank you for giving me this platform, because if this here can reach people to gift someone the journal that is in need, then hey, I'm grateful.
We can do that.
Be grateful.
Yeah, right. You the best-selling author, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. Sure. You should be going flowers at your feet.
Oh man.
This was great though. I like this. This is dope.
Yes.
We definitely gonna put this out there so everybody can see it. Cause
well, thank
like
you.
Say, hey, they say God bless you sometimes to the point where you don't know how to stop it and you don't want to, but it's gonna keep coming. As long as you don't focus on the money and you focus on helping other people, it's gonna keep coming for you.
Man, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, before we go, give everybody your social or anything, not your social security number. You know what I'm saying? Your social handle.
She's like, look, y'all can ask me anything. Not that.
Can't ask me that unless you want to put me on your security. No, I'm joking. That $1.5 million card, that black card.
Right.
Let me be an authorized signer. No, I'm joking.
Oh, look at it. See? It's supposed to be about the book. You already
like, look, you can help me.
Oh, shoot. What had happened was,
Right. Okay. But yeah, let everybody know how they can reach you, whether it's to buy your book, if they want to donate, like you said, at some point to the foundation, or just if they, if you open to people just to ask you questions,
yeah,
book or whatever,
Yeah. Okay. So first, my website, of course, www.Jennifer with one N R Fennell .com. So www.jenniferrfennell.com. So that's where you can get more information about my website. About my book. Then you can also follow the Keep Living Journal page on Instagram, and that's Keep Living Journal on Instagram. On my personal Instagram page is Miss Jen, JEN _ Renee, RENEE on IG. And then, of course, you can find me on Facebook at Jenifer Fennell.
All right.
That is JENIFERRFENNELL.com.
.com.
We're gonna put all of that in the description for everybody.
All right.
Make sure they got every avenue to get a hold of you.
Yeah, cool. Oh, then you can also purchase the journal on Amazon. So you can go to Amazon.com. You can search for my name, or you can search for Keep Living Journal, and then the journal will appear. And then I'm also on a company called Bliss Books and Wine, and they are a local indie bookstore here in Kansas City, Black owned, and you can also purchase my journal on there. So if you want to help 2 minority businesses, you can order the book from blissbooksandwine.com.
Oh, okay.
What was the other one you said before, I think?
Amazon.
Oh, you said no, my other minority, the other Black owned.
Yeah, Bliss Books and Wine. Bliss, BLISS and Wine. Mm-hmm. Okay. So they're an online bookstore, and they have online they do an online book club where they drink wine while talking about the book, and yeah.
So people gonna be crying and drinking wine.
Yeah,
pretty much. That's what it is, you know. It's people, just a book club getting together drinking wine. But I always want to give them a shout out because they have been my number one supporters, like my day one supporters since before I even put the journal out. So yeah.
Kansas City be holding it down for their folks.
Yeah, they do.
They do. Oh my gosh. Yes, they do. They support, because we have this amazing store now here called the Black Pantry. And it was this guy who opened up a store that is all Black owned products from all over the United States. And it's really nice. And he also does local people here too as well. So my goal is to get into his store, but I'm just trying to find the right time to get in there. But I've been one of his supporters since day one as well. So
no time is the right time like the present.
I know. You're right. You're right about that. So
hey, Jennifer, we are definitely glad that you graced your presence, you know what I'm saying? And
I know.
I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful and honored that you guys asked me to be a part of this, because I watch your podcast. I was like, oh yeah.
you need Kendra's podcast. You know, I'm just on there, you know what I'm saying?
I know. You know what?
Like, oh, good idea. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So it's an honor. It's an honor. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much. And we are so glad that you have graced our show. You don't know how much this means to us to have dimples on our show. Just, like I said, you just sunshine.
Oh, thank you.
Around you, that aura, that happiness.
Thank you.
Gonna take us out then, Kendra.
All right. So again, we had our guest Jenifer Fennell on the show, who wrote the book Keep Living, a journal that the healing through grief, through your grief. Mm-hmm. You can connect with Jenifer. We'll have all of her information below. And just to close out, again, our quote today is, it starts by saying, if it costs you your peace of mind, you overpay. And thank you so much for listening to the Slow Wealth podcast and stream. My name is Kendra.
And Ramon.
And you can subscribe to us on all podcast platforms. Facebook, we're at Slow Wealth. Yep. You can email us at slowwealth.com or invest@slowwealth.com. That's invest@SLOEWEALTH. We are also on Instagram at Slow Wealth, and Slow Wealth is Success Lives on Elevation. Mm-hmm. I am Kendra.
And we're on again.
And we're signing off.
All right. Let me go ahead and end this.